Well, the gun control debate always resurfaces after horrific mass shootings in this country. Before yesterday's massacre in Texas, 10 people were killed in a racist attack at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, about a week and a half ago. And this trend of gun violence, especially in American schools, is showing no signs of slowing down. Since 2018, there have been 119 school shootings in the U.S. and 27 just this year. No other country in the industrialized world comes close to that number. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy gave an impassioned speech on the Senate floor yesterday. He begged his colleagues in the Senate to work together on gun control legislation. Murphy was a congressman representing Sandy Hook, Connecticut, when 20 children and 6 adults were shot and killed in 2012. He was on CBS Mornings earlier, where he said that he and Democratic Senator, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, are teaming up to tackle this issue.
We're going to be reaching out to Republicans today to see if we can find some of that common ground, whether it's on red flag laws, trying to take guns away from folks who show significant signs of impending danger, or whether it's a smaller expansion of the background check system. We're going to reach out to Republicans, try to find something that we can do together this year, right now.
One parent who has been fighting to prevent gun violence is Fred Guttenberg. He lost his 14-year-old daughter, Jamie, in the Parkland, Florida school shooting in 2018. So Fred Gutenberg is here with me now. Fred, listen, I saw you reacting to news of the shooting right after it happened. You were angry, and I don't blame you. You've had a little time to let it settle in. What are you thinking and feeling this morning?
I'm not any less angry. In fact, I didn't sleep last night. So I'm angry. I'm sad. I feel broken for all the families who have lived with gun violence and for the new families that now join them. I've had enough. I'm done begging and pleading legislators who won't do the right thing to do the right thing. I sat 3 years ago with Ted Cruz for an hour and begged and pled. And he then went on and spent the next 3 years mocking the idea of reducing gun violence, which, by the way, we don't call it gun control. I saw the opening. People like Ted Cruz call it gun control. That's not what this is. This is gun safety. This is trying to reduce gun violence. I am angry that the governor of Texas will put out statements while knowing that he just passed laws that make it more likely guns will end up in the hands of those who intend to kill, and we don't know who they are because of laws that Texas passed. I am angry that he put out messages just, I think, a year or two ago saying Texas should be the #1 seller of guns, comparing it to California, and saying, what's wrong here? They should be fired. They should resign. They made choices that put this country and that state in this place. And so, yeah, I'm angry. I don't want to beg and plead anymore. I want them out. I want them gone.
Did you see Ted Cruz's comments yesterday when he was asked by reporters to react to the shooting? And he essentially said that, he didn't think more laws would stop this sort of violence. And he used the word evil. And I know why the word evil is being used. A lot of people use the word evil to describe an act like this. But sometimes I think, that word makes it sound like it's an otherworldly thing that is happening, right? Something that is beyond our human capacity to control. And I feel like, something can be done. It's not evil or God's will or any of that stuff. We can do something about this.
Ted Cruz is evil. When Ted Cruz says things like that, it's evil. Years ago, after the Sandy Hook shooting, only 4 days after, the NRA president, Wayne LaPierre, said, the only thing that stops a good guy with a gun is a bad guy with a gun. It was the first time that sentence has ever been said. And from Sandy Hook to today, Ted Cruz has repeated that line a lot. And it has brought us to a place where we now have 400 million weapons on the streets of America. While Ted Cruz is evil and says, we don't need more laws, he has watched as the number of guns in the hands of people who want to kill you has exploded. Okay, Ted Cruz is wrong. Ted Cruz should simply not speak on this issue anymore unless he has the intention of walking into Chris Murphy's office and saying, I want to join you. Because if that is not his intention, then he just needs to stop speaking and go away.
You know, you mentioned that you talked to Ted Cruz, you talked to other members of Congress. I've seen you, in D.C. talking about the need for better gun legislation, talking about the need for better background checks, the sorts of things that many, many Americans, even gun owners, actually agree are all good things.
About 90%.
Listen, Fred, maybe it's time to stop depending on lawmakers to do anything. I mean, here we are again. It's the same conversation again. Nothing is changing. We may see an executive order, that eventually gets reversed or dissolves over time, but that's the extent of it. Is it time that maybe the American public stops depending on Congress to do anything about this?
No, listen, the American people, because not enough of us have voted, have ended up with these extreme people. But the American people do want this done. So I don't want to excuse those who were sent to office from doing their job. If they don't want the job, then they should resign. I don't want to excuse them. I want to fire them. Listen, we have an election coming up in 6 or 7 months. Don't excuse them. Send them home and put somebody in office who will reflect the will of 90% of the American people. Show up and vote. You're right. With this particular Senate, it may be impossible to do anything other than executive actions from President Biden, which he is committed to doing. But if that's the reality, then hold on to this House leadership that we have, because they will pass this legislation, and add some seats in the Senate so we can get this done. Don't excuse them if they won't do their job. Send them home.
So tell me about the types of legislation that you would like to see. What's going to make the difference?
Listen, let's start with the bare minimum, background checks. Let's actually know who it is that is trying to buy guns. I believe that should be extended to ammunition. I mean, we have 400 million weapons on the streets already, but let's start there. Let's talk about red flag laws, or also called extreme risk protection orders, so that if someone is deemed a risk to themselves or someone else, there's a mechanism to make sure through a legal process that those guns are removed from that person's ability to harm themselves or another. Let's raise the age to 21, okay? We have to stop making it easier for kids to do this. And to me, the big thing that we ought to be doing is repealing PLCAA. If you want to see gun safety in this country turn the corner, let's start holding those who have pushed it on us accountable through the courts. Let's repeal PLCAA so people like me are actually able to sue the gun manufacturer.
Fred, before I let you go, I want to ask you for some personal advice based on this tragic life experience that you were living through. What advice would you give the parents in Texas and, parents across the country who are now terrified to send their kids to school for the last couple of weeks that are left in the school year? I know this has been painful for you. You come off as incredibly strong. I want to know where you get your strength from and what advice you have.
Listen, my daughter died running down the hallway for her life from an active shooter. What she went through was an act of strength. Anything I do, it can't come close, and I get my strength from her. For the families, the next few days, weeks, it's really going to be just about getting from one second to the next. It's going to be about the need to plan a funeral, write a eulogy, take care of those you love. I personally do not recall how my family ate in the weeks after the shooting. We were just overwhelmed. But it happened because the community stepped up and made sure my wife, my son, anyone coming to the house, that there was just always going to be food. And so I put that out there because for the community now going through this, it's going to be an issue. I spoke to my friends at World Central Kitchen. They are already there on the ground, making sure that will be coordinated. But I want to let these families know you have an army of survivors who love you, who will be there for you, who will hold your hand as you try to figure out what the path forward is. My rabbi said at Jamie's funeral, we don't move on, we move forward. And that is probably the best way to sum this up. Every day is simply a new day on the path forward to ensure that my wife and my son and I, who are still here and who love each other very much, are okay. And these families will find their way to that place, but they've got to get through the next few weeks.
Well, Fred, if any of these families hear your words, I pray that they make their journey just a little easier. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.